Pillars of Progress, and I'm Anne-Marie Ganesh. Let's take a look at the headlines. The Parliament to be located temporarily at the waterfront. The Ministry of Community Development at the click of a mouse, and celebrating Indian Arrival Day. It's long been the seat of our Parliament. For more than a century, the Red House is symbolic of the place our lawmakers sit. Both the upper and lower houses are located in this building. But as you might be aware, it's in dire need of repairs. And until now, there have been attempts to keep the Parliament housed there, even as renovation work is being done. This is no longer feasible, and a decision has been taken to move the both houses to a temporary location. Sherilyn Lewis explains.
The history of this country would be that much less colourful without a Red House. This seat of Parliament has been witness to some of the most defining moments of Trinidad and Tobago. Speaker of the House, Wade Mark, says the government recognizes the Red House's place in our development.
The Cabinet agreed instead to restore the Red House for the sole occupation of the nation's Parliament. In due course, also consistent with the recent Cabinet decision referred to, steps will be taken to formally vest the Red House in the Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago.
Mr. Mark says the Red House could no longer be allowed to stand in its current state, given the fact that the OAS had listed the Red House as a monument since 1996. He says there are several other challenges faced by those who occupy the Red House, including intense competition for office space. He says taking all these factors into account, the Joint Select Committee on Parliament's refurbishment suggested in a report that Parliament be moved. He also says that moving Parliament was the more cost-effective option, since continued occupation would result in delays leading to added expense.
Such concerns include excessive noise, substantial infiltration into occupied areas of dust, biological contaminants and other pollutants, and potential structural dangers.
UDECOT Chairman Jolene John announced that the move would cost $41 million. She also said Tower D of the International Waterfront Complex, its new home, would be able to offer parliamentarian benefits they have never had experienced before.
With the occupation of the Parliament at Tower D, a host of additional services would be generated, which are now not currently enjoyed at the Red House. It would be remiss of me to not highlight that for the very first time in our nation's history, office accommodation specific to the leader of the opposition will be provided. We have also ensured that the Senate chamber will be well in place to facilitate sit-ins, and the work of both houses of representatives and the Senate can be ongoing simultaneously.
Ms. John says that the $41 million spent would not be wasted when Parliament returns to the Red House in 3 years. She says the facility would then be equipped to hold conferences, making it a revenue earner for government. Sherilyn Lewis for Pillars of Progress.
Information is power, but no one wants to spend their time trying to figure out where they can find that information. Unfortunately, that's exactly what happens, especially with many local organizations and bodies. The Ministry of Community Development doesn't want to fall into that category and has taken steps to ensure citizens have easy and ready access to its programs and projects. Natalie Briggs tells us how.
The age of technology is here, and if this country is not to be left behind, then it should get with the program, so to speak. The Minister of Community Development, Nizam Bashk, made the statement as the ministry formally launched its website. The ministry's permanent secretary, Margaret Ferrer, who delivered the feature address, says the website was launched to aid the fulfilling of its mandate of building stronger communities and relationships.
Our hope is that today's launch will promote the work of the ministry to a new audience and to continue to strengthen existing bonds. This website is one that each citizen should add to their list of favorites, as it will be constantly updated with programs that can help in building community spirit, educating persons on relevant topics, and developing self-reliant individuals and communities.
Mrs. Ferrer says the ministry has several life-changing programs, including the Community Action for Revival and Empowerment, or CARE, and GAP, or Geriatric Assistance Partnership Program. She says the website will better enable the ministry to market these services to the public.
With our solid commitment to delivering innovative programs and services to the public, community.gov.tt will promote the Ministry of Community Development's activities for the benefit of citizens.
And this is how the minister sees the ministry's community development training programs.
I've been to some of the areas where we run computer literacy courses, and I can tell you, you have people from age 5 to age 75. And this is what the kind of interest. In fact, only yesterday I was talking to someone, a colleague of mine, and he told me that his mother was joining a class because somebody gave her a little computer and she wanted to know how to use it.
Website consultant Andrew Proudfoot gives a demonstration of how the site works.
We have a list of news that's happening with the ministry. We have videos on YouTube, which will basically pull from the YouTube channel. We have some downloadable forms there right away for people to come, for instance, to a Best Village entry form that they could download. And then we have some quick links to certain areas of the site that are most used.
The site also comes with a link to Facebook. Fans of the ministry's page can use it to network and keep in touch with each other. Natalie Briggs for Pillars of Progress.
And the government has given approval for the construction of 7 new state-of-the-art service stations. They are part of an effort to push compressed natural gas, CNG, as an alternative fuel and save hundreds of millions of dollars being spent to keep gas prices low. Curtis Williams explains.
It is the energy sector that pays a large part of the government's bills, contributing 45% of the country's gross domestic product and 63% of all its foreign exchange earnings. The Minister of Energy and Energy Affairs, Caroline C. Prasad-Bechan, says the country was literally losing out on hundreds of millions of dollars every year because it has to spend so much money to subsidize gas while not utilizing easily and cheaply available compressed natural gas. The minister points out that if the country was able to convert only 15,000 vehicles out of a population of 400,000 vehicles, then the government could have an additional $600 million to spend on projects.
A total of $2.6 billion was spent in keeping the cost of liquid fuels to a level that is affordable to our driving population, private and commercial, so that they could all enjoy these affordable fuel prices. Let me put this in context. At a cost of $2.6 billion TT dollars, we could have built 19 hospitals in Scarborough at the original budgeted price of $135 million. We could have built 17 oncology centers at Mount Hope at the original budgeted price of $150 million.
Minister Sipasad Bechan says this is one of the reasons government is moving on making CNG an alternative fuel. She says the Cabinet has already approved the construction of additional service stations to ensure there is an adequate CNG network.
In this regard, I'm pleased to announce that a number of service licenses will soon be awarded. In addition, the government will be granting additional marketing licenses for dedicated CNG refueling stations as the CNG population expands. I'm also delighted to tell you that as part of the government's commitment to CNG and as a show of leadership by example, every single motor vehicle owned, I'm looking at my colleague here, Minister of Trade, every single motor vehicle owned and operated by the Ministry of Energy and Energy Affairs will be converted to CNG.
Minister Sipasad Bechan acknowledged that in the past CNG users face many problems, including waiting time and also a lack of sufficient conversion centers. This, she promised, will be a thing of the past. The service station at Brentwood is the first of the new service stations and is expected to be opened on November 1st. Curtis Williams, 4 Pillars of Progress.
Home improvement grants for residents of San Fernando. Do stay with us. The details are on the other side of the break.
Abuse is when the big people that I love
tell me things that hurt my feelings.
Abuse is when my mommy and daddy hit me for no reason.
Abuse is when I feel neglected.
Abuse is when my rights are ignored.
There is no reason why our children should be abused. They are our future. The Ministry of the People and Social Development is committed to the protection of children's rights. We must safeguard their future. Together and together alone, we can do it.
Children have rights too. There is no excuse for child abuse.
Beware of internet sites that fraudulently offer rewards in exchange for your credit card number and other personal information. Always confirm the credibility of websites before making any financial transaction. Remember, crime prevention is everyone's business. A message from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
Good morning, Mr. Smith. Here are the files you requested.
Thank you, Emily. I heard there's a tax amnesty at the Inland Revenue and we need to catch up with the company's outstanding taxes.
You're right. But I've noticed we didn't file corporation tax returns, nor did we pay business levy, green fund levy, and corporation tax for the past 5 years.
Yeah, I know, but I will have this sorted out soon. When is the deadline?
The amnesty ends May 31st.
May 31st.
So, that gives us an opportunity to file the company's tax returns now and pay all outstanding taxes to avoid penalties and interest.
Yeah, that's right. You know, it's good to see an employee who takes interest in her work.
I'm just doing my job, sir.
The Board of Inland Revenue advises that an amnesty is in effect from September 8, 2010 to May 31, 2011. Be wise. Take advantage of this opportunity. Inland Revenue Division, changing the way we interact with you.
Thanks for staying with us. You're viewing Pillars of Progress. Financial assistance for home repairs. Scores of residents in South Trinidad have been given monies from the Home Improvement Grant and Home Improvement Subsidy to carry out critical repairs to their homes. They won't have to repay this money, but it's all part of a plan to upkeep the existing stock of houses. For a detailed report on how this works, let's join Sherilyn Lewis.
These grants, which could value up to $15,000, will be used to construct or repair homes for these 70-plus residents. The Home Improvement Grant is one option available to households seeking to upgrade, expand and/or improve their homes in the face of the changing economic environment. This project is designed to address the needs of low-income earners.
This is the second such function being held here. Last year, I think it was August, I had the privilege of attending the first such presentation, and I am happy to be here to join with you this morning to share your joy at receiving these grants. And may I commend the staff, the Honorable Minister of Housing and the staff of making these, of the kind of work you have done, your dedication and commitment in terms of having another such program so quickly.
Speaking on behalf of the Prime Minister, Senator Dani Maharaj says this grant provides hope to citizens.
Our citizens have perceived their relationship in terms of their legitimate right, their legitimate request for application for various grants, assistance, and what other facilities may be available. They thought the process to be a difficult one, a untimely one, without reason, and sometimes a hopeless one. And that concept must never prevail in any good government.
Some of today's beneficiaries are from Penal Debe, San Fernando and environs, and Siparia. This couple says today is a happy one for them.
Because it's a great help, and we really need the help. So, yeah, the roof is bad, flooring is bad, but we apply for the roof. So we're glad to get the help to fix the roof.
Another beneficiary, Carol Hamilton, says the grant is a timely one.
The need for this grant is to do renovation to my old wooden house. A few years now. And I've applied for this grant since 2004. And I'm so happy that at last the dream comes true.
Additionally, a hotline has been set up to provide relevant citizens with information on the status of their application queries. It also gave them a forum to relay their concerns about any other processes related to the home improvement grant. Applicants may call 623-4663 extensions 2280 or 2281 for immediate assistance. Sherilyn Lewis for Pillars of Progress.
On to the national security beat. This country's national security assets are set to increase with the commissioning of 2 Augusta Westland medium turbine helicopters. A statement from the ministry states that they will provide the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force with enhanced counter-narcotics, maritime interdiction and search and rescue capabilities. The official handing over will be held on Tuesday at the headquarters of the Trinidad and Tobago Air Guard in Piarco. This country has the privilege of hosting the 6th session of the Standing Committee of the Economic, Social and Cultural Council of the African Union. It's the first time an official organ from the African Union will meet outside of Africa. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs in a release says the Minister Dr. Suredratan Rambachan will meet the group to discuss deepening of relations between Africa and the Africans in diaspora. Meantime, condolences continue to pour in for former Member of Parliament Felix Gregory Bellamy, who passed away on Holy Thursday. Today, as House of Representatives remembered him, the leader of government business, Dr. Rudal Munilal, paid tribute to the work Mr. Bellamy did in the area of housing.
Many of us, of course, would not be familiar with the late Felix Bellamy. We have, of course, been briefed as to his contribution, and from our understanding, Mr. Bellamy has served in the House and has served with distinction, working on several committees of the House and collaborated with members of the government and the opposition on several path-breaking areas, including, Mr. Speaker, the matter of developing a housing policy for the government of Trinidad and Tobago.
Let's join John Victor. He tells us about the Ministry of Arts and Multiculturalism lending a helping hand to a number of cultural organizations, individuals, groups and mandirs for Indian Arrival Day celebrations.
As the country gets set to observe the 166th anniversary of the arrival of East Indians in Trinidad and Tobago, the government has underscored its commitment to doing all it can to ensure that the country's cultural heritage is not only preserved, but that national festivals and observances are meaningfully celebrated. Minister Peters notes it is one of the reasons for the increased level of funding to community and cultural groups as they observe Indian Arrival Day. The funding to the groups has been increased by nearly 100% over last years.
The increase should signal to everyone that this government, through the Ministry of the Arts and Multiculturalism, is fully committed to the development of an environment where each culture can flourish in a spirit of understanding, love, and tolerance. As such, we would continue to ensure that we provide resources to events like Indian Arrival Day, continue to work along with the national umbrella organization to ensure that our rich cultural legacy is kept alive in communities across our beautiful nation.
Acting Permanent Secretary Vel Lewis complimented the group representatives for their work in helping to develop their respective communities.
As I'm sure you are well aware, that the Ministry with responsibility for culture cannot do all of the work that is needed to be done at the community level, particularly as we celebrate these national days and festivals. And therefore we are really heartened when people like you yourselves could get together at the community level in the various groups to assist in highlighting and in preserving our rich cultural heritage.
And some group representatives welcomed the initiative.
Practitioners or activists of Indian Arrival Day celebrations or observances are always making comparisons with the funds given for Emancipation Day. These two celebrations or observances complement each other, and certainly there should be some equity.
It's a beautiful venue. It's good to see that the minister could come here and deliver the checks, to the various groups, various villages.
Grants totaling some $992,000 were distributed to over 60 community organizations, cultural groups and mandirs for this year's observance of Indian Arrival Day. John Victor, Pillars of Progress.
And the Ministry of National Security is inviting all non-governmental organizations to attend a stakeholder consultation on its draft national mentorship policy. The government is focusing on the nation's younger population in an attempt to instill good morals and values in them. It's also a sort of preemptive strike to stamp out the growing trend of antisocial behavior. The program is designed to provide support and guidance to individuals. 2 representatives from each organization are invited. The consultation starts on Thursday, June 2nd at the Center of Excellence in Macoya, and it gets started at 9 a.m. You're required to pre-register. Call 623-2411, extension 12439. Here's something to note. The Guayco-Tamina Road at the 2.5-mile mark will be closed on Tuesday, May 31st between 6 to 8 a.m. A statement from the Ministry of Works and Transport states that the move was necessary in order for them to undertake emergency roadworks on the roadway. They are asking motorists to observe all directional signs and barriers, be aware of heavy equipment entering and exiting the work zone, and to please comply with instructions from police officers who will be on site to facilitate the flow of traffic. Still need more information? You can contact the ministry at www.mowt.gov.tt or call the Pure Unit at 638-4038. And that's all we have time for. I'm Anne-Marie Ganesh, inviting you to join me again as we continue our look at the government's work. Do remember, this is streamed on news.gov.tt, where there are also past episodes available for viewing. And repeats of today's program are also shown every day on TV6 at 11:40 a.m., on CNC3 at 11:30 and 1:02 on CNMG. This has been Pillars of Progress, a look at the work the government is doing as it implements the development plans for the nation. On behalf of all of us at the Government Information Services Limited, goodbye.